Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whether you're watching this live or in the future. Hello to the future. Have you watching? My name is Don. I'm the consumables manager here at Trotec Canada, and I am so fortunate to be here with these three talented gentlemen today who are going to teach you all about Rhino and Grasshopper, large format lasers. We are so excited about this webinar. If you're watching in the chat, we hope you'll drop a quick hello. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions as we're going along, don't hesitate to drop a quick question in the chat. We're always excited to try and answer that for you. We're here for you and also for me, because these are topics that I don't necessarily know as much about as some of my esteemed commentators here with me today. So let's get right to the good stuff here. Let's start introducing people. To my camera right or left, I'm not just stage right, is the very talented James. If you watched any of our live streams before, you might be familiar with James. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. Best day ever.
It is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
HP Engraving, thank you so much. Doug, thank you so much for watching. We're really glad to have you here with us today. Just across from me, is it... Gosh, I'm always wondering. Forgive me for any names that I mispronounce, both usernames and names in person. I'll be far more embarrassed about the ones in person, I'm afraid. But Michael is joining us from our HQ in Austria. We're so fortunate to have him with us. How are you, Michael?
Hello. Good to have me. Thank you very much.
It is good to have you.
I'm very pleased to be part of this event, and I try to contribute as much as possible.
Well, we're so excited to have you. Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of what your specialization is at Trotec in Austria?
Yeah, I'm working in the headquarters of Trotec here in Austria, and I'm product manager for the large format machines. So the SP series, ranging from the SP500 to the SP3000.
That is really exciting. I think today is going to be such a great combination of, I think the SP machines and Rhino and sort of this style of manufacturing are such a perfect fit. I'm excited to ask you guys all sorts of great questions. And last but certainly not least, just down below me, you can't miss him. The very gregarious, the very talented Andres, who is joining us from Rhino. How are you, sir?
Quite good. Still alive. So
I mean,
we're in Florida, and some people do not believe about COVID-19. So we have been hiding from everybody.
I'm willing to bet
like it that way.
I have a go-to question whenever I can't think of something to say as the host of a webinar, is to ask people about the weather, just because it's such a good go-to. And even if it's, cheesy, I can always make fun of myself for asking about the weather. But I feel like in Florida, there's no chance that it's anything other than gorgeous.
Well, it's really beautiful today, believe me.
I love it.
During the morning, 62, and in 1 hour we will be 87. So just perfect.
Holy smokes, that's awesome. Well, listen, enough of my foolishness. Let us actually get started. Again, everyone who's watching from home, if you're just tuning in, we're so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions for these gentlemen, whether it be about Rhino, about Grasshopper, about the way that they integrate with our machines, especially our large format machines, you have any questions you ever want to ask about the SP series, especially if you haven't gotten to see an SP machine in person. I've gotten to work with one. It is amazing. It's really fantastic. I think we're going to get started, but don't hesitate to drop some questions in the chat. Andres, would you like to share your screen, and perhaps you can talk to us a little bit about Rhino and Grasshopper and kind of kick us off?
Okay. Let me know if you see my computer.
Yes, sir. You bet. I'll even make it the main. I'm going to blow it up to full screen here.
There we
go.
All right. So you can see my Rhino and you can see my Grasshopper, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
So let me close Grasshopper, and I just want to mention something. Today is the first time that I am testing the Rhino 7 beta.
Ooh.
Yeah, last week we were Rhino 7 whip working process. This new version is telling everybody that in the next 90 days we will be releasing Rhino 7. And there are many interesting things related to even, Trotec and lasers in Rhino 7. For example, one of them is support for single line fonts. Yeah, which is really interesting if you're labeling or engraving something really fast. So me saying that, I want to jump in because we only have like how many hours? 7 hours?
7 hours, yeah.
Basically,
Okay.
yeah, just until you fall over, I'm happy to listen to you tell me all about Rhino.
Usually my presentations are like 5 days, 8 hours each day. So what I want to do is open up Grasshopper and just go really quickly through the interface. And for the people that are new to this technology, which is a completely different way of drawing, like what you would do in Corel, in Adobe Illustrator, or even Rhino. So it's a completely mindset.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have students that never ever before saw Rhino, and they do really well learning this way of thinking. So,
excuse me for 1 sec. For the laser users out there, imagine using CorelDRAW to draw, let's say, a plaque. Like you're going to cut out a plaque, but with Grasshopper, you can make the plaque, and then tomorrow just make a whole new plaque just by entering in a couple of numbers. This is kind of the very, very boiled down version of Grasshopper. Is you're drawing so that you can change everything with just a couple clicks of the mouse. So for the new laser users out there who are looking at this saying, "What the heck is Grasshopper?" This is what it is. It's a dynamic way of creating art.
Yeah, I think I created, and I'm going to write them from scratch. So this is not like a demo. This is real. If Rhino crashes, well, I'm sorry, but I want everybody to feel comfortable and understand all the steps. And what you said is true, but I might want to add something very unique, which is sometimes you find new forms that you never thought before. And that's really unique about Grasshopper. So let me just show you something very simple. If I go to vectors, for example, and I drag and drop populate 2D. So let's say that a customer comes and the customer says, I need 7 panels. And the panels, by the way, I know people in Austria works in millimeters and meters, the people in Canada too, US feet and inches. So I'm going to use feet and inches if you don't mind.
Can't be good at everything.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's say, just for fun, I'm going to draw a rectangle, and this rectangle, in many other programs, this is the same. I mean, you come, you type the dimensions, and you draw the rectangle. This rectangle at this moment belongs to Rhino. So you have to come to Grasshopper, and under params, you have what we call a parameter, and you drag and drop and you put it in this canvas. And if you right click, notice that it says, please give me one curve. So I'm going to select the rectangle. So now the rectangle belongs to Rhino, but also is part of your new code in Grasshopper. So now I can connect, and this is the hard part for me, especially Monday mornings. Oh, this is so hard. I mean, connecting this table over here. If that seems to be a problem, just go from right to left, and that is the same result. So now I populated this region with, by default, 100 points. If I double click on the canvas, click, and I type, oh, I want numbers in between 10 and 250, I can connect this, what we call a numeric slider, what James was talking about, to count. And notice on my Rhino screen, I can populate this with the numeric slider. So I'm going to set it, let's say, right there, 120. But here's the trick. Remember the customer. The customer said, I need seven of these plates. So you come over here under seat and you create a numeric slider that I usually call Pietro. And Pietro is my partner. So yeah, he's my partner. And I don't want to get into politics, but it used to be Pedro. But Pedro, we had to fire him. And we got Pietro from Italy. So, so now, notice that if I move this slider randomly, I am moving all those points on my computer. So this is pretty cool, because you can tell the customer, oh, we can make one for tomorrow, but give us 7 days because we have to draw this manually on the computer, right? So we come over here and we go to mesh. And this is something that many people do in Rhino and Grasshopper, but I'm going to add something else to make it a little bit different. I am going to draw a Voronoi, and the Voronoi is asking for the points. We have the points over here, right? And it's asking for the boundary, and we have that, right? Yes. And remember Pietro, my partner, so I can move this everywhere I want. And not only that, I can add my own personal points. So I can right click multiple points and draw few points over here and make it a little bit there. So you see it's wider on the bottom, tighter on the top. So now that I have that, this is where it gets very interesting. I can come and ask Grasshopper to give me, explode, give me all the information about these polygons. And there, I have the area, I have the vertices, I have the faces, I have everything. So now I can come over here and say, oh, how about if we hide all of these, hide it for a moment, even the points, hide the points, right? Hide my personal points right here. And since I have the vertices of each one of those polygons, I could come and say, oh, let me go through curves and look for, let's say, under curves. Let me stretch this one just a little bit to the right there. And let me look for, let us say, either polyline, interpolated, or control point curves. So I'm going to select two of them, this one and the polyline. right? And I am going to have multiple choice. So I can tell the customer which one does he prefer. So I can go to sets and select what we call a stream gate. This is a gate that is going to get all the vertices, and you have the key. You have the key of the gate. If it is false, it goes to target 0. If it is true, click, click. If it is true, look at that, false, true. If it is true, it goes to 1. So you have now the possibility, to close all those curves. Remember, in Rhino, when we draw a control point curve, you are drawing the curve, you have the possibility to say close it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm closing all of these. So close, and let us paint these curves. This one, I might paint it, let's say white, and let me copy paste this one over here and paint it, let's say, I don't know, you have 16 million colors to choose from. So if you're a person that cannot make a decision really fast, just pick white, and that's it. So now look at this. You showed the customer, and the customer says, "Oh, but that's too, I don't know, too, too many sharp edges." Oh, we also have this one, by the way. And this one is going to, oh, hold on. This is true.
Yes,
this
is the other one. Yeah,
is the other one, right? So now we have the possibility to make it false or to make it true, right? And even before we do all of this, in Rhino, you go to transform and you have a scale 2D. We also have the same in Grasshopper. So I go to transform, I go to a scale, and what is it that I want to scale? I want to scale all these polygons.
So can I
Sure.
jump in really quickly? So I'm curious, perhaps. So the points in the larger rectangle that you see inside of Rhino, those are all. That's essentially just a handmade sort of algorithmic pattern that you've created. Essentially, like it is like a custom panel that you could then determine the artwork inside. Like each point represents a vector line that you could then cut or engrave on the laser. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Wow.
And now this gets very interesting for you lasers, because if you go to display, notice under dimensions, we have gradient hatch. And you know what the hatch with gradient can do to a laser. If you set it white, it won't engrave. If you set it to black, it will engrave. So you can make every little cell that you are looking with this Voronoi with a different grade. If you don't want to cut it and you just want to engrave it. So this is it's a lot of possibilities. So let me find out the center of inertia of all these cells and connect them to the center. So I don't know. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, cool.
So now I can come over here and say, oh, let me scale this from 0.25 to 1.0. So you can connect the scale over here. right? And all this geometry now is the one that we are going to work with. So look at this.
So James,
Yes.
I wanted to ask, so in terms of a practical application for this, I mean, like, it is fascinating to watch. I could see so many artistic uses for this, but I'm thinking about like even customers that you could recommend this to. Large scale architects would absolutely lose their minds or something.
I built a in my first sort of use of Grasshopper. I took and I built a vase, let's say, just a really easy revolving 3D vase, and I used Grasshopper to turn any 3D object into a laser cut puzzle, like to lock the corners in, and you could skin it with something if you're doing like, you know, soft surface skinning or something like this. So like a lamp application, anything that's a 3D object, it now you can take any 3D object, just with a couple of presses, turn it completely into flattened 3D object that you can cut out on the SP2000 or something like this. So, and I did that with a project last night, and yeah, it's working great. So being able to dynamically create things. So you used to have to build the 3D object and then actually design the cut lines using profiles or silhouettes of the 3D object.
Right.
But now you just, once you've built it once in Grasshopper, and this is the great thing about Grasshopper, build something once in Grasshopper, and then every other job you do, you just a couple of clicks of the button. You may have to do an edit here and there, but really all the heavy lifting is done once. It's kind of like you used to carry big heavy pallets of bricks from the truck to your house, and now you've bought a forklift. You know.
Well, I was gonna say we had a great question there from Miguel as well, sort of along that line, where we're asking about if you can apply the kerf directly to the item in Grasshopper if you want to make a completely inlaid piece.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And remember, you can also under utilities, curves, utilities, you find the offset right there. So you can, depending, because you really have to be, and you really have to have experience. And every time, still today, that I'm gonna cut a new piece of material with a different thickness on harness, I have to calculate on my laser how much material the beam of the laser is cutting from that material.
Yes.
Right.
So I cut just 2 or 3 pieces and increase or decrease the offset to see how it feels, how tight they match each other. And I don't know, can you see my face or?
Yes,
yep. Okay, I have a little lamp over here. I don't know if you see the lamp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is from the bamboo material from Trotec. So it no glue, nothing. It just snaps so nicely. And if you, I don't know if you can see the edges. You don't see the burning, which is the beautiful part.
Well, that was what impressed me. The kerf looks perfect. I mean, like, it looks like it just fits together. There's absolutely no overhang. There's nothing.
Yeah, and with Grasshopper, you actually could make like a constant number for the kerf for different materials. So if you're using 25 different materials, you work for an hour to get the exact kerf for everything. You do that once. You plug that into Grasshopper, and now you just choose which material you're going to cut that out of, and it will dynamically change the kerf for everything you're doing. Also, if you're buying if you buy Baltic birch, and the people who buy Baltic birch know that if you're not buying the highest quality of Baltic birch, it varies by 200-300
kind of thing.
Yeah, it varies in thickness, so you can actually dial in the thickness of your current piece or current batch of Baltic birch, and Grasshopper will change the whole program that you're doing to match your thickness of your material. So this, I mean, it's to me as a person who's been laser cutting for 21 years, this is an absolute game changer. And to the people who are looking at this with kind of stars in their eyes going, I have no idea what I'm looking at, but I think I love it. That's how I was about an hour before I started using Grasshopper.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was going to say it's very rarely that I feel like I've found a piece of software that looks like, I'm a big believer in the best way to learn a piece of software, at least for me, is oftentimes just to mess around with it. And there are so few pieces of software I can think of where I'm just excited, regardless almost of the outcome, just to get to play with it. Like the way that this almost has like a coding logic built into it with sort of true or false statements and things like it makes sense. I should mention really quickly, we are planning in the coming weeks to launch a weekly stream with James and some of our fellow colleagues to do essentially a piece in Rhino, either a piece every month or a piece every week. I think we're still sort of ironing out the details, and I will leave that to James to get to decide. But I think
I want it to be like the Bob Ross, the art of or the joy of painting, but with Rhino and lasers.
Yeah, so, the joy of Rhino.
Let me add one more component to this definition, which is this is more related to business than even to Grasshopper. If I go to sets, sequence, and I drag and drop random reduce. So this is what I'm going to do. I am going to get all the list of these shapes and reduce them, let's say from 0 to 100. One more time, let me connect and let me bring my partner. This is Pietro, right? You remember my partner, right?
We've been introduced, I remember.
Yep, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
he owed me $20.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the one doing the heavy lifting. So now I can connect this one over here. Let me disable. And I can tell the customer, oh, by the way, how about if we do something like this? And in each panel, we delete few of the shapes. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but it looks beautiful, right? And in terms of time of the laser cutting, this is less time. So you're getting a more beautiful and unique shape, and the customer is going to pay twice for less work that you do with the laser.
So I have to ask then, so does this have a net? Yeah, that's a great, Andrew Birch. Yeah. So does this have a nesting feature then? I should say, perhaps James can explain what I mean by nesting, but does this have a nesting feature right in Grasshopper?
Not natively. You don't just push the big red button that says nest me. You'd have
I would never push that button, but yeah.
You could program a routine to nest things. That's what I'm imagining. Maybe Andreas can talk a little more about that.
In this version of Rhino and Grasshopper, if I go to params, look what I have over here. Open nest. And it works inside Grasshopper and is free.
Wait a minute. So you're saying there is a big red button?
Well,
I hope it doesn't say nest me.
Yeah, here's the deal. We have a website that belongs to McNeel. McNeel is the owner of Rhino, right?
Yes.
We have a website that is called Food for Rhino. The number 4 and Rhino. Food for Rhino. If you go to the site, you register, is free. There are around, listen to this, there are around 400 plugins for Grasshopper.
My family's never going to see me again. I'm just going to be on my computer for the rest of my life.
You know, when I first started playing with Grasshopper, so I think I was sent Rhino from Austria, and so I plugged it in and I installed it the night before, and then in the morning I check my emails and I'm like, oh, I should look at this Rhino Grasshopper thing, and I don't think I got any work done that day. I believe I went from about 9 o'clock in the morning till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't eat. I didn't do anything. And then I looked and I'm like, oh, maybe I should get some work done.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a joy to use this. And yes, there's food for Rhino. There are so many plugins that people have already made things for you. And so there's probably some people here who don't know what nesting is. And in the manufacturing world, if you have an object like this strange, like maybe acoustic panel or something here, if you wanted to flatten that onto a single board and use the least amount of material possible, you would nest that into the board, so you could cut it all flat on one cut, on one board, on one machine in one pass.
So yes, and it's quite fast, quite easy, but some universities, by the way, they have a nickname for nesting. They call it the green software.
Ooh.
Because they save a lot of material.
Absolutely.
And they force the student to go through the nesting first before they go into the shop. Because sometimes the pieces that they are trying to cut, perhaps they might find on the back a piece of board that he can use for his project instead of buying a new 2x4 or 4x8. So I'm going to do this one from scratch, from zero, but this is something that either a facade or a roof could be done in any of these large format lasers that Trotec has now. And if you notice, I divided my definition with render. This is my idea. Because sometimes you have to propose and somebody else is going to give the okay. But then when I choose go to the shop, go to the Trotec Laser, if I pick that one, notice that everything is on the floor and is labeled.
Ah, beautiful.
So people call Grasshopper something like, if you are a lazy person, this is the tool that you have to use, right? Because it's so let me start from scratch. This is a new document.
As you begin to build this, I wanted to take a quick moment because I would be remiss if I did not get to ask Michael. So we've talked a little bit about, and James, I'm sure you could pitch in on this, but we've talked a little bit about cutting with the Trotec Laser. I'm so curious because we defer to the large format specifically for cutting specifically. And I was curious if you could tell me sort of what makes the large format a particularly great choice for, I mean, obviously, if it's a question of scale, there's nothing that's going to beat the large format machine. But if you could tell me a little bit about what makes the large format such a great cutting tool, I would really, really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our laser cutters have a few features that put them apart from the rest. I would say the most important is the productivity. We have laser powers up to 400 watt, which makes cutting acrylic or wood or MDF really, really quick and productive. So if you are going to produce and you are in volume production, then it's the machine of choice. And you have lots of process options. So when it comes to adding a good exhaust from the top and the bottom, which makes a huge difference in the cutting result, or it comes to the gas assist, where you fine-tune your results, especially when you cut wood. You get really nice edges no brownish, blackish parts, but you can really add some air or some nitrogen and get really nice corners and edges. And this sets it apart. If there's one additional feature called the Tandem Assist, where you have the machine working on one half of the machine, and you can prepare the next job on the other half of the machine, which means that the machine is never waiting for you. It's always producing, and you can increase your productivity a lot with these features.
I can attest to the benefits of that one.
Yeah.
When COVID very first hit and we were manufacturing as much PPE as we possibly could, we were using our 2000 to make face shields and things, and being able to have one half of the machine cutting constantly while I was loading the other half with material and just swapping back and forth meant that I basically never had to stop all day long. I could just continue, jumping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah. And this,
please, no, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's especially if you have intricate details and you have lots of parts, then it makes a big difference. In the loading and unloading times get pretty big compared to the cutting times, and then it makes a lot of sense to have the machine cut while you prepare. And this is only possible because it's a safe machine. You can work in the cutting area while the machine is cutting. So we added lots of safety features to make sure that no one's hurt and injured, and it's a safe process to load and unload the machine while it's operating.
That's very true. I can also attest to that. Yeah.
Back before this tandem options, customers had to buy 2 lasers.
Yeah,
and
basically,
which didn't hurt my feelings, but we're all about, Trotec's all about making the customer more successful and more productive. And you're less productive if you're running 2 separate machines when you can do it with just one.
Yeah. Definitely. People really appreciate this feature and take a lot of advantage of this.
Of course, yeah.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to ask then, so who are the sort of customer groups that you most often see taking best advantage of the large format lasers? Who are the sort of demographics that we see really finding the most value from the SP series?
Yeah. Cutting acrylics is really the best what a laser can do, and so signage and display customers are really the most the largest group of customers, either with printed material or with non-printed material, if they build face letters or signs or shop fitting. That's really the #1 market. We also see some wood processing, cutting MDF or all kinds of veneer or solid wood is really a good choice. And you can be really creative, also adding some engraving. This is also possible with our large format machines. They are not just cutters, but you can use them to engrave things as well.
100%. Well, with that in mind, Andres, please take it away. I'd love to get back to the piece you're designing.
So I have, this is quite simple, but the result is you get the message right away. I have 3 curbs. I made a loft out of those 3 curbs. And now I am going to easily, in Rhino, turn on the control points and just push and pull. So I get a very nice surface out of here. And maybe these 2 go to the back. So the customer can push and pull these control points and get this shape that you see over there. I can go to Grasshopper and say, why don't you give me the bounding box, which, by the way, many companies use this just to find out, the box that you need in order to package this piece of art. So I'm going to deconstruct this box And in many cases, I ask my students, how many edges does a box have? And right away they go, oh, 6. And they flunk the class right away. So what I'm going to do, and I don't know if you ever play Chinese sticks. This is the same. You're just looking for, and let me show you. Here is one edge. So we have from 0 to 11, 12 edges. And I'm going to search for the edge on the back. There, I found it. And on that edge, I am going to place curve, division, perpendicular frames. And you have to use your imagination. Let me increase the size to maybe 6. These are like circular blades. And these blades are gonna cut through my beautiful surface. But I can say, oh, from 10 to maybe 28. And I just connect this one over here. And if you look on the back, right there, you see I am increasing or decreasing the number of cutting planes. And now that I have that, this is it. I just go to intersection. In between what? In between my construction planes and my loft. And here is the loft right there. And these are the construction planes. So you see how beautiful those curves are. And what can I do? What can I do with those curves? Well, let me project them, transform, project all of these, project them to the floor. No, I want to project them on the back construction plane, right there. And now it's just surface. Let us create in between all these curves and all of these, and I already have what I was looking for. This is what the large format laser is asking for. Give me those plates, which, by the way, I can even bend them if I want to. I can do an exercise with that. Once I have them over there, and I can do the extrusion, I can make them thick, all that stuff. But the laser doesn't need the 3D geometry. The laser only needs the profiles, which is really cool because you can be even more lazy. You don't have to do all that stuff. Now, you can pass this information to whoever is doing the rendering, whether you are using Twinmotion, whether you're using V-Ray, our own product, etc. But what I want to do is come over here and say, orient. Orient what? Please let me orient all these faces. Do we know where they are located? Yes, they are located right here. On each one of these construction planes, we created one of these faces. So we connect this one, and we always check 24, 20, 29, and 29. Perfect. And Grasshopper says, where would you like to place them? Notice that all of them are over here on the floor. So I need to make the construction planes on the floor where I'm going to place each one of these cross sections. So we go to sets. Let's make a series. How many? We can count list length, we can count the number of frames, and we already, by the way, we already have that number over here. But if you see 28, this one created one more.
It's 28 copies of a single one.
Exactly. So you get an extra one. So I always like to use list length. So this is the number. How much space in between them? Oh, in between them maybe 10 and 30 inches. Let's give it a 1 decimal place, 0.0. This is the step. And once I get these numbers, all I have to do is go to vectors, place a point, and everybody remembers the point is made out of 3 coordinates, and all I have to do is connect this one over here. And you see the points on the floor? So now I could say, oh, in each one of those points, I'm going to place a construction plane. And that construction plane is where I want to place all my pieces. Now, we do have a problem, but we can rotate, and I hope all of you are used to using radians, but can we use degrees for today? I love to see architects and their faces when I ask that. So let me change this from -90 to 90. Most people are used to use degrees. So look at this. I can change the target and I can rotate them on the floor, and the step in between each one of them, and there I have all the pieces on the floor ready to go to the laser.
Yes.
And it didn't take me, as James says, if you spend 1, 2, or 1 day, you can create very, very flexible definitions, and you can provide a lot of possibilities, a lot of options to the customer right away.
Yeah. Now you can imagine, Michael, you can probably speak on this too, the industries that could use something like this. Like I'm thinking, like definitely like people who are creating architectural panels, maybe for ceiling panels. That first demonstration that Andreas showed, if you could see exposed ceiling, industrial pipes and things all painted white, and then putting up some T-bar, and then using that to create a different panel. It would be very organic. So you're not using the standard 5 different panels that you would get commercially, but you're creating a custom living landscape on your ceiling. Or with this demonstration, I can see, like for large spaces, like the huge demo space we have in Mississauga, it's echoey like crazy. Using this demonstration, you could create acoustic panels that actually diffuse the echoes and produce like gorgeous panels like this. Like I want to. Can you send me a large format laser, Michael? Can you just send me one? Just yeah.
Hey, but not only one, send 2.
Yeah. we're gonna need more of these here, people. You know.
Yeah.
Cheaper when you buy in bulk, I'm sure.
Why not?
Yeah. So can you see the pictures?
Yes.
So let me show you, for example, there. It's and don't forget, and people, I don't know, people do not realize that even if I have in our office in Miami we have the Speedy 300 and the 360, right? And we, even with that limitation of the size of the bed, I can make a scale 1-to-1 pieces of furniture, because in Grasshopper I can draw a long curve, let's say, I don't know, 120 inches, and with the definition I can make a sandwich and put the pieces in such a way that a structural they will be really, really long. And
Andres, do you think you could maximize these photos even just to make them a little bit bigger so that they cover your entire? Yes, awesome. Thank you.
yeah, so there,
Wow.
all these projects, interior design is a huge market for those large format lasers. And don't forget, the learning curve is 1, 2, 3. If you get into a CNC machine, the learning curve is really hard.
True.
Really hard.
We've all done it. Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, James, I'm sure you could sort of speak to this now, but coming from more of a 2D design background, so more of the, like you say, the Adobe Suite, the CorelDRAW tools, those sorts of things. In the beginning, it seems quite complex. And I mean, this has been a wonderful crash course, but I'm curious, if you're somebody who's coming from more of a 2D background, where would you recommend that people start when they're potentially, if they're really excited by this, but aren't sure quite where to put their first foot with Grasshopper? And then B, are there other resources out there as we're waiting for the stream that we're going to be doing with you each week? Where would you sort of maybe look to begin to learn more about Grasshopper and the way that it works and all the interconnected pieces and those sorts of things?
Yeah, I learned Grasshopper by watching a video, and now that I've met Andres, I think it was him, watching a video and just doing it step by step along with the video. And as the video progressed, I started to just naturally learn what each thing did. And because I already knew Rhino, I realized all I was doing just motions that I would normally do in Rhino with Grasshopper. And so that's how I learned. Now, learning Rhino, I had a passion for 3D. Like long ago, I got involved with Rhino in 1997, and so I've been using it quite a while. Not like full time. I'm definitely not the expert at all, but you have to have a passion for this kind of thing. You have to want to create this. If it's not something you want to do, you're never going to. It's just not going to happen. You have to love it, and you have to think this has to. If this doesn't excite you, some of these pictures and some of the things that we're doing here, if this doesn't excite you, yeah, I'd probably stick with 2D stuff. But if this excites you, like I know it excites Michael, I can see his face here. Yeah. Then yes. Let's get into this and let's watch the Rhino Trotec show. By
the way, let me give you a little good news.
Please.
As we speak, actually, when I close this webinar, I do have every week. I do have a meeting, a coaching. So far, we started this semester with 7 universities, and they are testing. By the way, they are taking the Grasshopper class, but at the same time, they are testing the material. So we are quite soon. I mean, quite soon is maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I will send the link to Trotec. We are creating this class that covers more or less 70% of Grasshopper, starting from the interface, going through what a list is, going through the numeric sliders, and each chapter will take you to projects, homework, and quizzes. So you will be a master in learning Grasshopper, and all of this is for free. I mean, this, we are not going to charge for that, but I have been forced because of COVID-19 to do something, and we came up with that idea, and right now we have few classes online for free for Rhino, for Python, for other plugins, but this one is really cool. And so far, the universities that are taking it, and I have universities here in the States. I have like SCAD in Savannah, Georgia, and Atlanta. They are industrial designers, and they do have Trotec lasers, by the way. We have architects, FAMU, UNCC, University of Bahamas, Tech of Monterrey in Mexico are taking this class. So in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will get the feedback, all the errors that they found during the class, and people will be able to download all the definitions, see proposals. If you allow me, can I put something on the chat?
Absolutely, please do.
Definitely.
I was going to say to Red 615 too. Well, absolutely, yes, exactly. So once the links are available, we will absolutely be distributing those either through an e-blast or through the stream with James and Miguel. But we're definitely going to be working towards making sure that that's available to you. Absolutely. If Andres is kind enough to share it, then definitely, of course, we want to be sure that you guys can get access to it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I want access to it. Gee, I'm not even a designer, and I'm kind of thinking like, well, my living room's a little boring. Maybe it needs like a melting ceiling to liven it up.
So let me see here, right there. Let me paste. There is a YouTube list of little clips that show more or less, and every week we upload 2 or 3. These videos are like 1 minute. It's just to show, but now you have to switch your brain and say, okay, I have a laser over here. I know what I can do with this. How can I mix that? How can I mix materials, the 3D geometry, the 2D geometry, and the laser?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the switch I'm trying to find at the moment.
Yes, it's really hard, and it's not easy. But when you see little companies, and Michael might relate to this, a little company called BMW, I don't know if you're familiar with them, when they show, and we didn't pay for this, when they show on a video how the new Fusion and the futuristic car is being designed with Rhino and Grasshopper, there, I mean, people just go, there is another little company called Adidas. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Right there. So if you Google computational design, and this is more interesting if you have students in this webinar, look at the new jobs in these firms. Most of them are looking for computational designers. They want to manipulate the geometry based on numbers. That's it. What James said before, you create the definition, but you can create a family of unique products. Not all of them have to be the same. You just move around Pietro, what I call Pietro, and you get a new shape.
I'm really excited to cut out the new BMW on my 2000. That's
Yes.
actually super cool. I did want to ask if, particularly if James or Michael, if as we begin to wrap up, because we've just passed an hour, I don't want to. This is I don't really.
I know.
want to
I could go for the
any
actual
final
7 hours.
questions that you guys could. Yeah, exactly. Any final questions that you guys might have or wanted to throw out there? Certainly, anyone in the chat. I mean, don't hesitate to throw out anything. I mean, perhaps James, not to put you on the spot, but perhaps we could start with you. Anything, as long as we've got the experts here with us, is there anything that's bubbled up to the?
I mean, it's as far as questions go. I mean, there's so much to learn. It's almost like picking out a piece of sand in a pile of sand. There's so much to learn, and it looks like you can really get started quickly just with a simple making of a square. Like if you have Rhino, get Grasshopper on there and get Pietro there making a square and make it different sizes just with a number. Just start with that. Start with that. Watch a couple of videos, add something to your Grasshopper thing, maybe round the corners with a fillet, and get maybe one of Pietro's friends to change how big the fillet is. And then start like that. Just start small. Don't try to make huge flowing organic ceiling yet, Don. Start with small squares and work your way up, because even if those people who are working at a 2D space Adobe Corel right now, you had to start like that too. I remember making my first square and my first piece of text in CorelDRAW back in 1988.
Yeah. It's black magic. It's incredible. Yeah.
So, but it's not hard. You just got to start. Nothing is as hard as you think, and nothing takes as long as you think. Yes. And this is it.
James, if may I add to your comments, number one, what you explain to us in one single word is form finding. Just play what you find, and perhaps you might like that shape, perhaps you might not. And I have another piece of information that it's gonna be very interesting, but really hard to swallow. Really hard to swallow. Rhino 7 comes with a piece of technology that allows Rhino and Grasshopper to run inside a program. So we already have architects going nuts when they see Revit and Rhino inside Revit. We got Illustrator with Rhino and Grasshopper inside Illustrator. You got Archicad with Graphisoft, Rhino inside. So you are going to start to see a whole bunch of applications that perhaps they don't want to go into developing a plugin like Grasshopper, but they want that technology. So they use what we call Rhino inside. And that is destroying many ways of doing things.
Well, I was going to mention, especially based on that, but so we have a YouTube channel here at Trotec that every week we're putting out new tutorials and videos, and particularly applications, so different things that we're making with the lasers using different technologies, different materials, that sort of thing. If all of a sudden you notice that every single video, regardless of what we're doing, has giant flowing organic shapes, please don't be surprised if suddenly, this hat stand made of, flowing organic coral, or don't be shocked.
Listen, I don't know if can you see this?
Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I love to go to Joanne Fabrics or Michael's.
Mhm.
and I go to the back where they always have a discount for products. And this is cork,
Yep.
flexible cork. And you cannot imagine when people come into my house and say, "Oh, did you buy it at IKEA?" Oh, my ego just goes way, way.
Yeah.
So if I am a strong believer of the quality, what I love is the quality, how soft the material could be, and Trotec will handle that material softly. I mean, the burning is not an issue. I don't sell machines, but to me, if I have products in my house, it's because of Trotec. And I have all the lamps in my house, even the one in the front of the house. And I love it when they start looking for the brand and they don't see the brand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been using Rhino obviously since 97. Every project I've ever built in my house, and I do a lot of building in my house because I love customization in my house. Every project has always been designed in Rhino, whether that's my basement renovation or my new deck. You know, I've never had to use any other CAD software. I've always just used Rhino for it. So I mean, it's useful for, you know, this organic designing. It's useful for, you know, making small 3D objects, but it's also, I've used it my whole life basically for laying out my whole house and, you know, doing the renovations or maybe just arranging a room in my house, because it's so easy to just build a quick coffee table and, you know, throw it in the corner of a room just to see what it's going to look like. So
all I hope is somebody, without involving politics, gets the vaccine for COVID-19 as soon as possible.
Yes.
Because I want to go. I got invitations from Canada to do workshops with the Trotec and the big lasers. Michael, if you want, I can put you in contact with a company in Germany that is trying to involve Trotec and Rhino and Grasshopper.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, for their automotive academy. So I miss working face to face and having a bag of materials, which I like. I like the material from Trotec.
Andres, after everything you've showed us today, I'll be very happy to send you a bag of materials. You've more than earned it.
I am always the last one in any show to leave, just to see what pieces they leave and they don't want to carry home. I said, "Oh, don't worry, I picked them up."
I have to say, Bill,
Andreas, can we have you back again to chat? There's so much more I would love to talk about. So, Don, maybe you can arrange that, huh?
100%. Yeah. I like that you look up at me. I appreciate that. Yeah,
hey, buddy.
I mean, I would love to have the three of us back together again for sure. I know that. Yes, I know that. Yeah, the high five. Oh, I've broken the illusion. I think I've always heard one of the best showbiz. One of the best pieces of showbiz advice I ever got was to, you know, leave people wanting more. So now that we've hit about an hour and 11 minutes, I am going to have to call it, I'm afraid, and I hate to be the party pooper, but
let me leave you with one sentence.
By all means, please.
When people ask me what size of laser should I buy, my answer to them is quite simple. Your client is proportional to the size of the laser. Period.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You can get very small projects on a large format, but you cannot get large projects on a small laser. So if you're doing the investment,
Definitely.
you better think of a larger bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not to mention too
Definitely.
that I think as Michael sort of spoke to earlier in the webinar, that the large format lasers are capable of almost everything that a smaller, you know, Speedy might be able to do. Obviously, they have some specializations that the Speedy doesn't, and vice versa, certainly. But the fact that you can still get that Trotec level of engraving quality and Trotec level of cutting quality, even on a machine that is as big as the 2000 or the 3000, I think really speaks to exactly what you're saying, Andres. It's they're still Trotecs regardless of, you know, what size or what particular piece you're buying. It has to be about, you know, that vision for where your business is at and where you want to take it, hopefully.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
I have to say, yes, forgive me again for wanting to cut it short, but I want to say thank you so much to everybody who's in the chat, who's joined us. Definitely, we'd want to be doing more of these. Andrew, absolutely. Don't worry. We've heard your voices, you guys. We're going to make sure that you have access to those links that Andres is going to send us. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. YouTube at troteclaser.ca or YouTube at troteclaser.com. I can't remember, but people are going to be getting strange emails because of me for sure. Definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We will, again, in the coming weeks, be looking at launching a series, a weekly show with James.
The joy of
Rhino. The
joy of lasers. I don't know. But it's going to be Bob Ross like.
We're workshopping the title for sure. We're workshopping it. James is still working on growing the Bob Ross hair.
James, are you based in Detroit or Canada?
No, I'm in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, Andres, when everything going on in the world does finally kind of return to a more stable, we would love to have you in Canada. We'd be very, very fortunate to have you up to do some workshops with us. I know people would love that for sure. Also, Michael, the same to you. If you can ever find a chance to visit us in Canada, we would very much love to benefit from all the knowledge you have about the
definitely.
I'm going to thank again everybody for watching. You can always find us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Trotec Laser Canada. We also have the links to that and to Rhino's YouTube channel in the chat. Thank you all so much. There it is. Thank you so much, Lev. Rhino 3D TV on YouTube. Definitely check it out. Absolutely. Thank you guys all so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.